Everyone is welcome here, it's time to make new friends. Aquavide Uskava, fill your Glencairn. Share a dram with the spirit of Edmonton. Slancha!
Good evening, Whiskey Brothers, Whiskey Sisters, Whiskey Friends, and welcome to episode 22 of the Canadian Whisky Journey's Whiskey Review. I'm Dolph, I'll be your host tonight, and I'm joined by Blair Phillips, co-author to this book right here, The Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries. Beautiful book, you should get it. Certain awards and accolades, we'll talk about that one day, but tonight we're talking about something very special. It was 40 Creeks Whiskey Weekend. So tell us about what we're trying tonight there, Blair. You've got it in your hand. But...
We are trying the 2021 release that they've called Master's Cut. I'm just going to pour some. You have some left. We had our Whiskey Weekend frolic here at my place with the Alberta Scotch Society and some other people. We've got, I think, maybe an ounce or an ounce and a half left. So good for you. I'm going to polish mine off tonight, I think. Yeah, to see how good this whiskey is, I was pouring into a regular Glencairn glass, and look what happened to it. Pretty fancy.
It turned into crystal is what it did.
That's how good this whiskey is, folks.
Excellent. There are a couple elements of note with this bottle. So one, Bill Ashburn got outside of his comfort zone doing the 48.5%. He called it cask strength. Some people have a problem with cask strength, but that's what it is for him. It's cask strength. He redistilled. This is kind of cool. He redistilled mature whiskey. And you know what? I think this is the first time I've heard of this. Like, I'm sure people have been doing it before, but he said he redistilled some 1996 and some 7 and 8 year old whiskey that wasn't really making it for him. He just said it wasn't developing the way he wanted it to, and he redistilled it. Have you heard of anyone else doing that before?
Well, I think what makes this one kind of special is that I don't know if it's really fair to say that these whiskeys were ones that he didn't have a soft spot for. I think he had this idea that he wanted to see what would happen if he took a bunch of whiskey they had in hand, like different, not the same batches and lots and all that kind of stuff. He wanted to take like a group of 5 whiskeys.
Bits and pieces.
Yes.
Is what he said. Bits and pieces. Yeah.
So he wanted to blend them ahead of time, and use some like mostly corn whiskey and then some barley spirit, as you mentioned, and then see what would happen if he distilled it, passed it once through their cover pot still, and then rebarreled it, and see how it would turn out. And I think he had a good idea of how it would turn out. Like he's very smart and intuitive of his experiments. Yeah. But it came out and it was gangbusters. And I do know other distilleries do redistill whiskey, but I don't think they do it as a expression of their artistic freedom, so to speak. They're doing it to
one of their special bottles and one of their 15 special releases type thing that they put out there, right?
No, they might take a lot that if for whatever reason they don't want to use it for their blend, and they'll redistill it and recuperate it. But this was all planned. It wasn't a happy accident.
And most of my information is coming from this weekend was 40 Creeks Whiskey Weekend. There was a masterclass, and Blair was on the masterclass there with 40 Creek Chris and Bill Ashburn and Davin and Whiskey Beth and the lady from Vancouver. What was her name?
Yeah, Reese Sims.
That's it. So this is the masterclass with that. I'm getting most of my information from that, actually. So it was very informative. And I did 4 of the 99 views, so people should take a look at that, just to get some of this background information that I'm looking at. But it was kind of cool because he said he filled one complete tank, and no one told me or no one said there at one point how big one tank is, but they did say it took 4. He redistilled the contents of this tank over 4 separate pot still runs because he didn't want to charge the pot still very much. So he wanted to take it low and slow is what he said, right? Which I thought was really cool. And Davin said that he could taste some of the mature elements in the whiskey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And can you? And I would have liked to have asked him what he was tasting, what he was picturing as mature, because it was redistilled. But he said some of the esters or congeners, I can't remember which one. One of those two, esters, congeners, came through the second distillation.
I think he was referring to sort of that nuttiness that you get in older spirits. But it's kind of cool because Bill blended this down to, the blend that he made was 44.5% alcohol. So that's what went into the still. And I guess there were enough barrels where he blended off this big tank of whiskey, but he couldn't distill all at the same time because the pot's not big enough. So he had to do it in separate batches. But he put it back into the barrel, I believe, at the same strength, which then goes up a little bit through the 5 years.
Yeah, because they lose water. He said that at one point. And I can't remember the term he said. They lose water as opposed to alcohol. And that happens in certain places. But I thought that was only dry places too. I didn't get to ask that question. Is it really dry in 40 Creek? I would have assumed it was moist like any place around the Great Lakes. Right?
I've only been in their barrel rooms in September, and it's quite warm, but it's not too muggy or anything.
Okay.
And I assume that the buildings are temperature controlled. Mm-hmm. But I've been to a few distilleries in the States where they barrel proof their whiskey at not at a high ABV, like they also put it in the barrel at a similar strength, and let it age like that. It's quite I don't want to say old fashioned, but it is a traditional technique in the States as well. So that's why you can call it a cask strength at 48.5%, because it is a cask strength whiskey. He's not adding any additional water when he proofs it to bottling strength. It's just that's what it was. That's what he gets.
That's what it comes out of the cask. And if we said a single cask at that, maybe people wouldn't have had a problem if you had like one single cask and you said this single cask and came out exactly 48.5. Douglas has the same thing in BC where they lose water, but he does his, and that he goes into the 60s with his type thing. Yeah. But Bill does not like cask strength. And you, my friend, I'm going to give you the gears. Go ahead.
No, I don't. There's a little bit of a strength war happening. It's kind of like in beer where there's the hoppiness war. Who can make the hoppiest beer? Who can make the peatiest whiskey? And now there's a bit of a cask strength war where who can make the strongest spirit or strongest whiskey? And I just don't really buy into it.
Okay.
I find that I enjoy cask strength whiskeys that are flavorful, and I get why people like them. But when they get to that point where they're high octane and they're burning your mouth and you can't taste anything, I just don't get the point. And that's where I was going. Yeah,
he didn't want to burn his taste buds or his nose. He didn't want to burn his nose type thing. But I don't agree with him. I don't agree that 40%, because he says his 40% is full flavor, and I think I would probably like it more at 43 and 46. I'd love to have the conversation with Bill in the face to face, and he can tell me I'm full of crap then, but I'd still really like that
I can do that right now if you want.
No, you, my friend, said you compared me to cask strength people to hot sauce aficionados, people who just want to burn their mouth off and they have no taste, and you said we should put them in a cage and fight it out. Tell me, I don't know, pick up truck or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's good.
I went a bit too far with that one, but there is a style of hot sauce where it's like super super hot, and then you have the stuff that's hot, but at the same time you can still taste them. And it's a bit of a ridiculous comparison when you think about it, because those really hot sauces are their concentrates are meant to be.
Do you remember some of the names? You had like 3 names that were like.
I've seen a bunch of them. Yeah, there's Satan's Blood, Ultra Death Sauce.
Okay.
There's like every single thing to do with death. There is one called that.
I'm a good Catholic boy, so I'm staying away from Satan's Blood. That's a bad thing. But it was good. And you know what? It's a good comparison. So if you want to think of cask strength and going too far as kind of burning your taste buds or overwhelming the nasal passages, it's what they have. And I don't know. I'm of the cask strength kind of. I like SMWS. My favorite type of whiskey are not blends. They're the single casks. I like having the single cask. I love blends. I do. I like them. But my favorite's a single cask. I like seeing what it comes out of the barrel and I think it's because I'd love to be a distiller. It just gets me kind of the closest to that kind of realm, I think. But
well, also if 40 Creek released another single cask whiskey, like I think the 22-year-old rye was a single cask, if they did that again, it'd be sold out in 2 seconds. Like
they did.
Yeah.
And that only went in Ontario, right? It wasn't available to us whatsoever. And I didn't.
Lottery in Ontario, and it was hotter than Pappy that year. That's how big that whiskey was. Yeah.
Well, let's delve into this and just background information. Not a whole bunch. It's 750 mils, $80 roughly, and aged in once used bourbon barrels. And he called them, what did Bill call them? Experienced Canadian whiskey barrels is what he called them. So it's they've been aged in that, and $80 is great for a cask strength. I will buy an $80 cask strength most of the time. What do you get on those, bud?
It's a lot of that. It's that vanilla caramel and icing sugar and that kind of thing. And if you let it sit for a while, the nose will start developing some of those earthier, nutty tones that Devin was referring to.
Okay, so that's the mature ones.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is that what I find on the nose, especially as you let it sit, and I brought this up during the masterclass, is that when you walk into their barrel room, you're just hit with this rush of all the aromas of all the aging barrels. It's kind of in that same wheelhouse.
It is, but 40 Creek always. I haven't been surprised by one. I wish I tried the 22-year-old, but I haven't been surprised by one that doesn't taste like a 40 Creek character. And Bill referred to this as well. He says there's no sugar added, which makes sense. I know you're not adding, but it's always sweet on the nose. It's always sweet on the palate for me. So, and I can usually tell this is a little bit away from the traditional flavors. You know what I mean? I can still tell, but I already know it's a 40 Creek, so that kind of gets it. But
yeah,
it's still a quintessential 40 Creek, I think. Foxheart was still, even though that had rum in it, I could still taste it, I think, and I think I do in this as well. And it's enjoyable. We like it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bill Ashford has a style and identity, and there is a bit of the fruit blend you get in his whiskeys is consistently spot on every single time. Yep. So, yeah.
And Davin said, what did he say? I'm thinking more raisin than I'm thinking. He didn't say plum. He said something else. What's a dried plum? Prune. He was thinking prune, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Are you kind of the dark fruits, plums type thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of raisiny.
Yeah, raisiny. I'm getting more plums and just a general dark fruitiness. It's really hard to pinpoint the exact one.
Quick hi to everybody out there. Steven's there, which is lovely. Dom on Facebook, how you doing tonight? Glad you're here. And Adam on Facebook as well. Glad you're here. Yeah, I could talk about this for a while. I enjoyed it on Saturday night. And it led me back to this one as well. I still think this, you can't see it, the Confederation Oak right there. That's still one of my favorites of all time from them. Like the 150. And it's a great story. And I think I'm drawn to the story a little bit too much. I think I'm a little bit too influenced. How about finish? Oh, we have the taste. Sorry, we didn't finish the taste. I do have the fruits. I have the stone fruits, the dark fruits. The sweetness.
There's a bit of a peppery spice to it. Some of those spicy pepper notes really carry through, I find, to the finish, for me anyways. And that sweetness does start to dial down. My glass is very fresh, and this is a whiskey that you can, pour a really healthy portion of and just let it develop over time.
And with the heat, I think as well, in the hand, it changes for me. Because during our party on Saturday night, I noticed over a while it got warmer, and the aromas came out and it changed, and on the palate, and the finish changed, I thought, When it's cooler, the finish was a little bit shorter for me. And again, sweet that went to, you talked about the dark pepper. Well, not dark pepper, just pepper. And when it's warmer, it started a bit warmer and kind of retained the sugar longer. So I think I like this more after you've held it in your hand for a good half an hour in front of a fire. I think this is a good one for that. How about you on the finish?
Yeah, just that hot and sweetness that dries off nicely, and I find that fruitiness will start to dissipate as it sits out for a while. But on a fresh pour, it's very like 100%. 40 Creek whiskey.
Excellent. We're going to do a quick wrap because 15 minutes, but I knew this is going to be a bit longer after Whiskey Weekend. One little quick question from Stephen. How long were they in the barrel before he redistilled them? And we said, what did I say? It was 1990.
It's varying ages. I think the whiskey averaged around 7 to 8 years old. But there was
and 7, 8.
Yeah, he put some whiskey from 1996 in the blend. I think he was looking to get a particular top dressing off of the distillation from that.
Anyways, it was really interesting. And half the time you couldn't hear Bill at the beginning, but I think you should watch it, people out there. I think you should watch it. You hear what he planned and what he liked and his opinion on cask strength, which is really interesting because this was not easy for him. He didn't want to do this. People had to twist his arm over, I don't know how many years, really.
I think it was the pressure of people asking him to do the cask strength whiskey, but I don't think that was the influencer. Okay. I think it was the fact that he wanted to try this technique, and when he tasted the whiskey, he thought, "Holy crap, this is so good!" Now, and that he was ultimately convinced by his own palate that this 48.5% whiskey is fantastic and ready to be sent out there, so to speak.
All right. So excellent. And thumbs up for me. Is worth the $80. I definitely think so. So go out there, grab one of these. I'm going to be buying another one right away. So maybe not finishing it as quick at this party, but I do think it's worth the $80. So how about you? Thumbs up, thumbs down there, Blair?
Oh, 100% thumbs up.
I thought so. Just had to get it up there. Are we ready? So thank you very much. And we'll see you again next week, next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Alberta time, 9 o'clock Ontario, that one, Toronto time. And shout out to Chris out there, 40 Creek Chris. Thank you very much, because he gave me this bottle. So everyone should know that he gave me the bottle for the party. Sure. And but we do know if I don't like the bottle, I'm not doing it up here. So I do enjoy it, and it's obviously people did as well. So thank you very much. Cheers, and have a fantastic week, Blair, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
See you then.
Blair. Talk to you later.
Good night.